It's Friday, August 28th. I'm Mai Rodriguez for your Midday Report. We'll be giving you the stories shaping the nation at this hour. In the headlines, more than 200 personnel of the Bureau of Fire Protection now under investigation over an alleged slots for sale scheme. The COMELEC shifts into high gear for the BARMM elections and the special election in Dasmariñas for the vacant seat of expelled Congressman Kiko Barzaga. Can the Senate wrap up VP Sara Duterte's impeachment trial before Christmas? The impeachment court is eyeing a holiday deadline. And finally, a home court moment for Pinay tennis star Alex Eala, who's set for a homecoming match this December. A single arrest has opened the door to a much wider corruption probe inside the Bureau of Fire Protection. More than 200 personnel are now being investigated over alleged payments in exchange for positions in the agency. Lade Cabagani is on the line from Krame for the details. Lade, go ahead.
Yes, Mai, the Department of Interior and Local Government is warning Bureau of Fire Protection personnel involved in corruption as authorities crack down on an alleged lot for sale scheme within the agency. The crackdown follows the arrest of a BFP personnel in Bataan who allegedly demanded 300,000 pesos from an applicant in exchange for a fire officer 1 slot. The 33-year-old senior fire officer 1 assigned to BFP Hermosa was arrested in a CIDG entrapment operation on August 24. The case has been referred to the prosecutors for alleged robbery extortion in relation to the Cybercrime Prevention Act. My DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla says the arrest is just the beginning of a wider campaign to root out corruption within the BFP.
Huli namin kayo hanggang matapos ang kolehiyo. Ang imbisigan namin ngayon ay lumagpas ng 200 tao na tungkol sa slots for sale. Again, I am warning you. I am serious and I will go after all of you. Hindi ako matitigil hanggang makulong kayo lahat, matanggal sa servisyo at kung ano ang kasama na ipatong sa inyo, ihapon sa inyo ng batas ay hindi ko ako titigil. We will win this organization.
Meanwhile, BFP Fire Chief Superintendent Wilberto Rico Cuanchu says the agency has already shifted to an online system-generated recruitment process to limit human intervention, but he acknowledges that the process can still be vulnerable if human intervention comes in during the final selection.
Ito po ay awakening sa aming lahat na may papupuntahan po tayo kung dito ay anomalya. And also to the applicants of the BFP, inoobit ko po walang bayad ang pagpasok sa aming ahensya. Ilipin po pag sumikap kayo kung kayo ay tabak na tanggap. Subalit kung pumasok kayo sa ganitong anomalya, ay paglalagay namin po kayo.
Remulla said more than 200 BFP personnel nationwide are now being investigated over the alleged sale of position. That's the latest update here from Kamkarame. Back to you, Mai.
Lade, gaano daw kalawak itong slots for sale scheme and how long has it been going on?
According to Remulla, Mai, the alleged payment ranged from 100,000 to as much as 800,000 pesos. For entry lang ito sa BFP. He said the investigation covers both current and former regional directors. Kaya warning ni Remulla sa mga BFP officials na involved dito sa scheme na ito, the government will pursuing them. He said the goal is to dismantle the corruption network and restore the integrity of the agency. According to Remulla, then this corruption system has been going on within the BFP for the last 25 years na, kaya tinawag niya itong cancer na sa BFP structure. Sabi niya, nais nilang tapusin itong klase ng sistema, Mai, para maging corruption-free na ang BFP within 6 months. At ipinakangako niya, Mai, na mananagot ang mga involved sa slot for scheme na ito. May dagdag ko lang, nakatakda namang ilunsad ng BFP itong online platform para sa mga recruitment processes para matiyak na siguradong tama ang proseso kapag pumasok yung mga aplikante sa BFP.
Ang tagal na pala nito, Lade. So, posible bang maimbestigahan din itong mga previous or mga nakaraang directors ng Bureau of Fire Protection?
Yes, May binanggit nga sa atin yan ni Secretary Remulla. Kasama nga doon sa 200 personnel na iniimbestigahan yung current and past directors na nakitaan rin ng may ganitong klaseng butas sa sistema, na meron din mga nakaraan na nagbayad din, kaya iimbestigahan ito, sabi ni Remulla.
Maraming salamat, Lade Kabagani, nag-uulat mula sa Camp Crame. The COMELEC is tightening its watch against possible election violations ahead of the first Bangsamoro parliamentary polls. Let's get more information from Joash Malimban, reporting from the COMELEC office in Manila. Joash, go ahead.
By the Commission on Elections has deployed task forces across the Bangsamoro region as the first ever BARMM parliamentary elections draw closer. During the signing of the Random Manual Audit Memorandum with election watchdogs and government agencies, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia said the upcoming polls must reflect the genuine choice of Moro voters. Garcia assured that the machines to be used in the elections are working properly, but he said the bigger challenge may come outside the machines, including pre-shaded ballots, voter intimidation, and vote buying. The COMELEC is now coordinating with law enforcement agencies to prevent and respond to these possible election violations.
Kinakailangan yung tunay na sentimiento at boto ng mga Moro ang lumabas sa September 14. Ginagaransya ng inyong Commission on Election. Tuloy na tuloy ang September 14 parliamentary election. Wala nang makakapigil dito.
Meanwhile, the COMELEC is also making final preparations for tomorrow's special election in Dasmariñas, Cavite. Garcia says early voting for senior citizens, pregnant women, and persons with disabilities will run from 5 to 7 in the morning. Regular voting will follow from 7 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. The COMELEC also reminds the voters that the liquor ban starts at midnight tonight and that the gun ban remains in effect across Dasmariñas, Cavite. Mai.
Joash, dito sa BARMM elections, ano yung mga pangunahing or top concerns nitong COMELEC? Lalo na ito nga ang pinakauna, na the first of such elections in the region.
Oo, May, first, syempre, yung security, isa ito sa mga tinitingnan na possible na, kumbaga, kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin ng Commission on Elections in coordination with the different law enforcement agencies such as the Philippine National Police, pati na rin ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Pero aside from that, sinabi ni Chairman Garcia kanina na okay naman yung mga machine nila. So ang kailangan daw solusyonan or kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin talaga ay itong mga possible na mangyaring mga irregularities outside doon sa mismong pagpasok ng mga balota doon sa mga makina. Tulad na lang ng voter intimidation na mayroon daw mga nagre-raise na concerns ng mga gobernador kahapon sa kanilang pagpunta sa May Cotabato City kung saan sinabi nila na mayroon daw mga personalities or individuals na nananakot para hindi na bumoto or magdikta ng boto ng ilang mga residente doon sa may Bangsamoro region. So ito yung ilan sa mga issues na sinasabi nila ay kailangang pagtuunan ng pansin at syempre yun daw yung mga balak solusyonan ng mga task force na kanilang itinatag doon sa Bangsamoro region. Mai.
Maraming salamat, Joash Malimban, nag-uulat mula sa COMELEC headquarters sa Maynila. The Public Works Department is looking at new ways to manage floodwaters in Pampanga as residents continue to deal with prolonged flooding. Mai Rodriguez is joining us live from Santo Tomas in Pampanga. Maika, what's the situation there?
My heavy rains and deep flooding greeted us here in Santo Tomas, Pampanga as we join DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon to see the flooding firsthand.
Before naman po, oo, nagbaha. I mean, dito kasi bumababa yung tubig. Understandable. Pero within a week or ilang days lang, mawawala na yan. Pero ngayon lang din naman nangyari yung naging sobrang tagal. Tapos to the point na parang above the knee na siya. So hirap din kami mga workers na sa ibang lugar, makakapunta sa mga work.
Dizon says the flooding in Pampanga will not be solved overnight, but he believes the solution can start with a simple approach, properly storing excess water.
Maghuhukay ka, magkakaroon ka ng cistern, ng imbakan, tapos yung tubig na may ipon mo doon, imbes na itatapon mo lang, pwede mong gamitin para sa either irrigation or magagamit ng mga kababayan natin dito.
For now, the DPWH plans to build a large detention basin that can collect runoff from 4 to 5 barangays in Santo Tomas. A mobile pump has also been brought in to help clear the flood waters. But with the continuing rain, it has not been enough. The river has also risen to nearly the same level as the flood waters on the road, flowing down the drainage. As of now, we are experiencing heavy rain here in Pampanga, and now the flood waters is now deep, knee-deep level. The residents say they are almost enduring this kind of flood waters for almost 2 months now. Back to you, Mai.
Naku, 2 buwan na, Maika, ang baha dyan. Gaano ba kalawak yan? Hanggang saang mga barangay ang inabot?
May sabi ng mga nakapanayam nating mga residente, 2 buwan na nga daw nila talagang nararanasan yung ganito kalalim na baha. Minsan pa nga daw kapag sobrang lakas pa ng ulan ay umaabot pa ng 3 buwan. Kanina May, nandun tayo sa bandang unahan, medyo mahaba-haba yung kalsada na merong baha. Doon sa pinasukan natin kanina, sa San Matias din yon, sa bandang looban, yung kasama natin si Secretary Vince Dizon, kinakailangan pa natin na sumakay ng malaking truck para mabaybay yung baha. Ngayon, nandito na tayo sa highway nila, sa MacArthur Highway. Nananatiling knee-deep level pa rin. Marami na din tayong nakitang mga tumirek na mga motorsiklo at iba pang mabababang sasakyan. Mahaba-haba ito, May, hindi natin masyadong matansya, pero masasabi natin na mahaba siya dahil binaybay natin yung kahabaan ng highway na ito kanina.
Naku, Maika, ano raw ang plano ng mga opisyal dyan? Lalong-lalo na ngayong long weekend, inaasahang hindi pa rin titila ang ulan.
May kanina nakausap natin si Congressman at si Mayor dito ng Santo Tomas, Pampanga. Ang sabi nila na coordination with DPWH, meron ng mobile pump silang nilagay na sisip-sip sa tubig baha ng mga binahang barangay dito sa Santo Tomas. At bukod doon, nagseserbisyo daw sila ng libreng sakay at nagpapadala ng mga relief goods sa ibang residente. May?
Maraming salamat at mag-iingat kayo dyan. Mai Carazon, nag-uulat ng live mula sa Santo Tomas sa Pampanga. Taguig City's lakeshore projects are now under a closer look with questions over both the developments and the land they stand on. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano is pushing back against allegations of illegal reclamation and land grabbing, while the ombudsman tracks the paper trail behind the properties. Hanati brings us the full story.
Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano has taken his defense of Taguig's lakeshore projects to the site itself.
Dahil matagal na po kami sa Taguig.
Standing along the Laguna Lake shoreline in Taguig during a Facebook Live, Cayetano pushed back against allegations that public land had been taken over, arguing that the city did the opposite, reserving parts of the lakeshore for public use.
So dito po, may allegations na may kinakamkam kami. Hindi ko lang alam kung pag sinabing kami, kung kaming mga Cayetano, kung ako, kami ng ibang leaders.
Cayetano also challenged critics to inspect the projects on the ground, saying photos and documents alone may not tell the full story of physical infrastructure that can still be visited, tested, and checked. He said the projects should be investigated if necessary, but maintained they're real and, in his view, should even be replicated elsewhere.
Nung una, araw-araw, ngayon, linggo-linggo. Diba? Parang sinabi ngayon, ang daming dokumento ibibigay. Bakit may nakalagay ba sa dokumento na ibibigay sa ombudsman na may masamang nangyari dito? So, yung mga dokumento na yon ay magpapatunay pa ho na napakagaganda ng mga projects dito.
dito.
The Facebook Live came as Senator Ping Lacson disclosed that at least 6 crates of DPWH documents related to Taguig projects have already reached the Office of the Ombudsman. And the paper trail is now expanding beyond infrastructure records. Lacson told Bilyonaryo News Channel that the Land Registration Authority has already identified some land titles that may be connected to allegedly illegal reclamation along Taguig's portion of Laguna Lake. He's not yet disclosing which titles these are, but has asked authorities to trace their history, including how the original certificates of title and other forms of titling were issued. Lacson said the review could lead to criminal charges if authorities find that the process was manipulated. The Ombudsman has already issued subpoenas to the DPWH, Philippine Reclamation Authority or PRA, and the Taguig Registry of Deeds as part of its fact-finding investigation into the alleged reclamation projects. Lacson had earlier said his team also turned over title numbers for verification as authorities try to determine who actually owns the properties and how they were titled. Based on information Lacson received from the PRA, at least 85 hectares are now being looked into. The PRA is also preparing possible for future proceedings over areas found to have been illegally reclaimed, subject to approval by its board. But from the same lakeshore now under scrutiny, Cayetano insisted that the development was built around flood protection, lakeshore protection, and public use. He said the road dike changed the area after decades of severe flooding and questioned why DPWH leadership has not spoken more forcefully about projects that he said the department itself implemented. More sharply, Cayetano said no one has yet shown him where the supposed ghost project is. He claimed he asked DPWH as early as last year to check the projects one by one and that the department reported back that there were no ghost projects while problematic works were flagged for correction.
Pero panibasa, daan milyon, bilyon ang project dito at panibasa maraming corruption sa DPWH. Automatic may ghost na. So hanggang ngayon po, hindi maturo kung nasaan ang ghost. Kami din po, hinahanap din namin kasi gusto din namin malaman dahil trabaho ng DPWH yun.
For now, Lacson's camp continues to feed documents and leads to the Office of the Ombudsman. For Midday Report, Hannah Tia, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The Ombudsman is standing by its case against former House Speaker Martin Romualdez, despite recantations from key witnesses. The anti-graft court says the recantations don't end the case. They are, in fact, opening more questions among them. Which version is telling the truth? Kumuha tayo ng detalye kay John Riz Calata. John Riz, ano ang update dito sa kaso ng Ombudsman?
May bumwelta ang Office of the Ombudsman sa pahayag ng kampo ni dating House Speaker Martin Romualdez na ang pag-recant ng Maleta Boys at ng dating security aide ni resigned Congressman Zaldico na si Orly Guteza ay nagpapahina sa inihahanda nilang kaso laban sa dating leader ng Kamara. Ayon sa Ombudsman, ang pagbawi ng testimonya o recantation ay hindi nagsisilbing eraser o pambura sa mga naunang pahayag. Sa halip, itinuturing nila itong dagdag na ebidensya kung saan ang dalawang magkasalungat na pahayag ay paghahambingin at susuriin para matukoy kung alin sa mga ito ang totoo. Isa rin nila itong malinaw na indikasyon na isa sa mga salaysay ay kasinungalingan lamang. Nanindigan ng Ombudsman na dapat imbestigahan kung alin sa mga pahayag ang tunay na pinaninindigan ng mga testigo. Kinwestiyon din ng anti-graft body kung bakit nagtago umano ang recanters. Gayon din ang mga kumakalat na ulat na may mga nagaganap umanong bayaran para himukin ang mga bumaligtad ang mga testigo. Naniniwala ang Ombudsman na may mga individual na gustong lituhin ng publiko kaugnay sa tunay na kahulugan ng recantation. Matatanda ang inihirit ng kampo ni Romualdez na ibasura na ang nilulutong plunder, graft, bribery at money laundering cases laban sa kanya dahil sa pagkakaugnay niya sa umano'y sistematikong korupsyon sa pondo ng bayan, partikular na sa flood control projects. Ayon sa panig ng dating House Speaker, wala silang nakikitang grounds para sa mga nabanggit na kaso. Mai?
Rin, kailan daw maifa-file ng Ombudsman ang kaso laban kay Romualdez?
May sa ngayon, wala pang specific date na tinukoy ang Ombudsman on when will they be filing the case against Speaker Romualdez sa Sandigan Bayan. Pero sa ngayon, nasa preliminary investigation stage na to. Although, wala pa rin confirmation if nakapag-submit o magsasubmit ng reply affidavit ang Ombudsman sa counter at supplemental counter affidavit ni Romualdez. Mai?
Maraming salamat, John Riz Calata, nag-uulat. As heavy rains leave communities underwater, urban poor group Kadamay is taking aim at another problem that it says is sinking the country: debt. Protesters marched to Mendiola demanding answers over allegedly anomalous flood control projects. Nasa linya si Chil Emprido. Chil, ano ang latest?
Yes, Mai, sa kabila nga ng masamang panahon ngayong araw, nagmarcha patungong Mendiola ang grupong Kadamay para kundinahin ang nararanasang matinding pagbaha dahil nga sa malalakas na pag-ulan. Bahagi umano ito ng kanilang paggunita sa pambansang araw ng paniningil sa pinsala sa kabuhayan at buhay ng mga Pilipino. May panawagan ng grupo sa pamahalaan ng agarang pagpapanagot sa mga nasa likod ng mga anomalyang flood control project dahil sa epekto nitong pagbaha sa iba't ibang lugar sa bansa.
Kahit po sa kasagsagan ng ulan, may bagyo, dahil ang nais po natin ay parating ang paniningil sa ating pamahalaan. Bakit po kailangan singilin? Lubog na po ang mga komunidad, hindi lamang ng mga maralita, kung hindi pati ng mga gagawa, magsasaka. Pero lubog din tayo sa utang. Utang na hindi naman natin napapakinabangan dahil ang serbisyo ay nananatili pa rin napakalayo sa aming mga pintuan.
May reklamo rin nila sa Pangulo ang umano'y kawalan ng accountability ng ilang sangkot sa katiwalian. Hanggang sa ngayon kasi kakaunti pa rin na nakakulong at ang mga big fish ay nakawala pa rin sa koral.
Panawagan natin, panagutin ang lahat ng sangkot sa korupsyon mula sa ibaba hanggang sa tuktok dahil hindi kami naniniwala na kung sino lang ang nakakulong ay yun lang ang may kaso. Kahit si Bongbong Marcos, siya ang pinakaulo ng malawakang korupsyon na umaagaw para sa pondo sa batayang serbisyo na kailangan ng mamamayan, lalong-lalo na po ng mga maralita.
Hindi umano titigil ang kanilang grupo para kalampagin ang gobyerno hanggat hindi tuluyang nasusolusyonan ang problemang kinahaharap ng mga Pilipino. Ako si Chil Emprido, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Maraming salamat, Chil Emprido, nag-uulat. Stalled flood control projects in Bulacan could resume next year. That's according to Bulacan Vice Governor Alex Castro. On BNC's At the Forefront, he said new contractors are expected to take over the stalled projects, adding the provincial government is now coordinating with their new DPWH district engineers. Bulacan was thrust into the spotlight after being identified as an epicenter of alleged ghost and substandard infrastructure projects meant to address the perennial flooding problem.
Hindi tayo pwedeng huminto dito dahil mas lalong maapektuhan yung mga kababayan natin kung nakatiwangwang lang yan at aantayin natin yung resulta ng kaso. So ang sabi nila sa akin ay itutuloy nila yung mga projects na to. Tutuloy nila yung mga binibigay lang nila sa bagong contractor.
So
sa maayos na contractor.
Pero hindi pa nag-bid out?
Nakapasok na ata for 2027 na budget.
In other news, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology maintains there was no special treatment given to detained Senator Jingoy Estrada during his recent medical checkup. BJMP spokesperson J. Rex Bustinera says they only followed the law and the court's orders regarding the senator's medical care. This after groups questioned why Estrada, who remains in detention, was allowed to leave for a medical checkup, with some saying his condition did not qualify as an emergency. One group even claimed that, quote, plunderers are treated with kid gloves. Estrada's doctor, Fernando Siquia, had recommended surgery for his torn knee with the possibility of knee replacement if medication fails to improve his condition. Estrada is detained at the Quezon City Jail in Payatas over non-bailable plunder and graft charges linked to the flood control scandal. Up next, 6 people are dead while 3 others are missing after a boat capsized at a lake in Zambales. This and more stories after the break. Stay tuned to Midday Report. House Prosecution Panel Advisor and spokesperson Robert Ace Barbers admits that calling the Vice President's head of security to testify before the impeachment court could carry risks for their case. Colonel Raymond Lachica has been at the center of several witness testimonies as he's linked to the disbursement of some 500 million pesos in VP Sara Duterte's confidential funds. Speaking on BNC's On Point, Barber said the prosecution is not afraid of what Lachica might say, but for now, they see no need to call him to the witness stand.
Remember, I'm going back to where we started in this article, no? Land Bank witnesses and COA witnesses, they were already sufficient enough for us to support the allegations in this article. Number two, apat yung aming hostile witness, di ba? You have Acosta, you have Ortonio, you have
yung sa DepEd.
si Fajarda.
Yes.
Si Fajarda. So tatlo pala, no? Tatlo yung aming hostile witness eh. At itong tatlong ito, nag-attend ito sa Committee on Good Government hearing. And we know exactly what they said. And what because it's all in record, under oath yan, sumumpa yan. Yung Colonel Lachica, hindi mo namin narinig yan.
Yun na nga.
Hindi namin, ba't namin siya ipatatawag? It's going to be a risk for the prosecution.
Barbers also insists the prosecution has always complied with the sub judice rule following presiding officer Cheese Escudero's decision to strictly enforce the gag rule for both sides. He stressed that it was some senator judges who were lawyering for the vice president despite their mandate to uphold the dignity of the court and remain nonpartisan as the trial unfolds. The prosecution is weighing changes to its lineup as the Senate impeachment court has a strict reminder in the enforcement of its gag rule. Some prosecutors could step back from the trial but remain part of the team explaining the case to the public. Kumuha tayo ng detalye mula kay Isaiah Mirafuentes. Isaiah, go ahead.
Yes, Mai, nauna na ngang sinabi ng prosecution na may posibilidad na may mabawas sa bilang ng mga House prosecutor. Yan ay bahagi na rin nga ng pag-iingat ng prosecution para masigurong wala silang lalabagin sa rules of impeachment. Paliwanag nila, posibleng ang mga magbitiw bilang prosecutor ay maging parte ng House trial spokesperson. Pero ayon din sa kanila, hanggang sa ngayon raw Mai, ay kanila pa rin itong pinag-uusapan at wala pa rin pinal na desisyon kung sino ang mga magbibitiw at kung sila man ang tatanungin, mas maganda rin na marami ang humarap sa publiko para ipaliwanag ang mga kaganapan sa impeachment. Samantala may sinabi rin ni House Trial spokesperson and former Representative Ace Barber sa press con kanina na hindi pa nila nakikita sa ngayon na dapat nang ipresenta bilang testigo ang manibagman ni VP Sara na si Ramil Madriaga. Bukod pa nga yan kay Colonel Raymond Lachica. Paliwanag ng prosekusyon, malinaw na rin naman ang sinabi ng Special Disbursing Officer ng OVP na si Gina Acosta na inutusan siya ni VP Sara na ibigay ang confidential funds kay Colonel Lachica. Na base sa rules for confidential funds, hindi ito dapat ibinibigay sa isang tao na hindi naman informant. Hanggang sa ngayon may naniniwala pa rin ang prosekusyon na wala pa rin nababasag na ebidensya ang depensa laban sa bise. May.
Isaiah, ano daw ang aasahan natin pag-resume ng impeachment trial next week? Sa Tuesday, kasi holiday sa Monday.
Yes, May. Kabilang nga May, inaasahan natin may mga titistigo ng mga AFP officials and other than them, may mga titistigo na nga rin si Attorney Michael Poa. Dahil nga si Poa ay naglingkod din sa opisina ni VP Sara noong siya pa ang nasa DepEd. At ayon naman sa prosekusyon na ituturing nilang bilang hostile witness itong si Attorney Michael Poa. Pero umaasa sila na makikipag-coordinate o makikipag-cooperate at sasabihin ng abogado ito mga nalalaman niya kung paano nga nagastos itong confidential funds.
Maraming salamat, Isaiah Mirafuentes, nag-uulat. The Senate is targeting to wrap up the impeachment trial before Christmas. Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian says the proceedings are already eating into the Senate's legislative calendar, particularly the budget hearings. To make room, the Senate plans to allow the Finance Committee to hold budget hearings even while plenary is in session. Gatchalian says the impeachment trial could also be moved in the afternoon, but weekend hearings are not being considered. He says Senate staff are also at risk of burnout as they juggle the demands of the trial and regular legislative work. Local government units are facing questions over how their support funds are allocated and accounted for. On BNC's memo, Navotas Representative Toby Chanco said funding released by the Budget Department is largely based on the specific needs of each LGU. However, he also said the current system needs clearer guidelines and greater transparency in how these funds are distributed.
Kung 5 plus municipality, siguro mas maganda kung mas malalaki yung LGSF na mapunta sa kanila. Pero it's not that easy because it also depends on the absorptive capacity of the local government unit kasi sila na yung magpapabid nito at sila na mag-implement.
Work in government offices and classes have been suspended in the NCR and 16 provinces starting 1 p.m. today as the southwest monsoon or habagat continues to bring heavy rains to parts of Luzon. So how much longer can we expect this kind of wet weather? Let's check in with our BNC resident meteorologist Benison Estareja. Benison, maulang hapon. Ano ang latest sa forecast?
Maulang hapon, Mai, gayon din sa ating mga tagsubaybay. We're expecting po na magiging maulan hindi lang for the rest of today, kundi hanggang sa katapusan na po ng long weekend, hanggang sa Lunes, because many areas in Luzon will be having the effect of the southwest monsoon or habagat na posibleng mas lumakas or mas ma-enhance pa ng isang weather disturbance sa loob ng Philippine Area of Responsibility. So the low pressure area is last located at 655 kilometers east-northeast of Itbayat, Batanes, and merong medium chance na ito po ay ma-develop into a tropical depression or mahinang bagyo sa susunod na 1 hanggang 2 araw. Tatawagin natin ito sa local name na Pilando or yung magiging pang-5 bagyo for the month of August. And yung track nitong weather disturbance is that it will remain dito sa may northern part of the Philippine Sea and then it will move west-northwest towards Taiwan. So yung landfall niya over our country is less likely pa rin sa mga susunod na araw. Pero inulit natin, yung mga pag-ulan po magpe-prevail pa rin. And within the next 24 hours, expect itong hanggang 200 millimeters na ulan over La Union, Benguet, Bataan, Zambales, and Occidental Mindoro. Whereas for Metro Manila, nasa 50 to 100 millimeters po within the next 24 hours. And then, gayon din ang Ilocos Sur, Pangasinan, Abra, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Bulacan, Rizal, Cavite, Batangas, and Oriental Mindoro. So throughout the day, meron din pong chance na magtataas tayo ng heavy rainfall warnings.
Alright, maraming salamat sa update sa ating panahon, BNC resident meteorologist Benison Estareja. 6 people are dead while 3 others remain missing after a boat capsized on a lake in San Marcelino, Zambales. Authorities are continuing search and retrieval operations for the 3 missing passengers, a pregnant woman and 2 children aged 5 and 12. 4 others survived the incident. 13 people were on board the boat, all members of an indigenous group who attended a vaccination program and a meeting for 4Ps beneficiaries. Authorities say the boat was overloaded when it encountered strong winds and rough waves while the passengers were heading home. In Albay, Mayon volcano continues to show signs of unrest after emitting ash again this morning. PHIVOLCS reported a grayish ash plume rising around 100 meters above the volcano's summit crater. Alert level 2 remains in place with the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone still off limits. This follows 2 ash emissions from Mayon just 2 days ago, recorded within a 5-hour period. The southwest monsoon or habagat also carried the ash towards communities east-northeast of the volcano. An update on the Zamboanga school shooting. Police say they found no evidence of conspiracy, bullying, or school-related conflict behind the August 18 tragedy. The president of Ateneo de Zamboanga, Father Ernald Andal, said the findings help address the unverified claims that spread online after the shooting that left 2 students dead. The PNP has filed charges of reckless imprudence resulting in homicide against the father of the suspect and the school security guard. The suspect's father, a customs security official, allegedly left his service firearm inside the vehicle that brought his son to school. He has been relieved from his post while authorities address possible gaps in security and investigate the gunman's motive.
The report found no evidence of conspiracy or coordination with others. It also found no evidence that bullying, disciplinary concerns, interpersonal conflict, or a school-related grievance motivated the attack. This is important to note because in the days immediately after the incident, many claims about bullying, conflict in school, and other supposed motives were circulated as though they were already established facts. Questions were understandable. People were afraid. People were grieving and trying to make sense of what happened. But speculation presented as fact caused further confusion and, more seriously, added to the pain of families and communities already carrying a terrible loss.
A little relief at the pump as fuel prices are expected to drop next week. Based on 4 days of trading, diesel prices may be slashed by about 3 pesos and 50 centavos up to 4 pesos per liter, while gasoline may go down by 25 to 75 centavos. Fuel firms announce price adjustments every Monday to be implemented the following day. Mitsubishi is getting ready to go hybrid, and it's putting billions of pesos behind the plan. The automaker is targeting local production of a hybrid electric vehicle by mid-2028, as it also brings back its Outlander PHEV to the Philippine market. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, has the story.
Mitsubishi Motors Philippines is stepping up its hybrid game with the plan to locally assemble what could be the country's first hybrid electric vehicle. The plan gets a boost from Executive Order 121, which sets out the government's Electric Vehicle Incentive Strategy or EVIS program. And Mitsubishi Motors Corporation in Japan is putting serious money behind it with a planned 7 billion peso investment.
This is going to be a long-term project, so we are going to be keeping on talking with the government what is the most best case for both of us. And also we have to involve our automotive brands, the other automotive brands within the group.
The company says discussions with the government are proceeding okay, and it's optimistic about where they are headed. Mitsubishi already builds the Mirage G4 and L300 at its Santa Rosa, Laguna plant. And if the new hybrid takes off, the company says it will add more production capacity and further invest into the facility. The target start of hybrid production is around mid-2028. But while that project is still in the works, another Mitsubishi hybrid has already made its way back to the local market.
First previewed at this year's Philippine International Motor Show, the all-new Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV is now available locally. As Japan's best-selling plug-in hybrid SUV, the company is confident it can carve out a space in an increasingly competitive market.
Mitsubishi says the Outlander PHEV has a good head start with the company's long history with hybrid technology. The automaker also acknowledges that Filipino buyers remain a bit conservative when it comes to electrified vehicles, but interest is clearly there.
By coincidence, from the Middle East crisis, it has been triggering the transition to the hybrid models from the customers' interest. Right now, not all of the customers is jumping into the hybrid technology still at this moment. But eventually, as time passes, I think the confidence with this new type of vehicle is going to grow up.
Despite the overall slowdown in the Philippine auto market, Mitsubishi says it will keep on investing to appraise its brand reputation and make its customers happier. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
Plans to rehabilitate NAIA Terminal 4 have been scrapped. The Manila International Airport Authority says the terminal site will instead be used as an aircraft parking area to help accommodate rising passenger traffic. It says the move comes as flight operations and the number of passengers at NAIA continue to grow. Meanwhile, construction of NAIA Terminal 5 is being fast-tracked with completion expected before 2028. A fire in Quezon City turned deadly this morning, claiming the life of a 25-year-old woman. She had escaped the flames but allegedly went back to rescue her mother. She was later found trapped inside the burning home. The fire reached second alarm before it was put out shortly after 8:45 a.m. Coming up, we have the latest in Nepal, where the death toll from the devastating flash floods has topped 400. More world headlines, plus the latest in sports after the break. Stay tuned here on Midday Report. Iran is preparing a list of conditions for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, including an end to the regional war. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said the strait would not reopen unless the U.S. lifts sanctions and the blockade on Iranian ports and pays compensation. An Iranian official said Tehran and Oman have agreed on a proposed shipping corridor through the strait. And if the U.S. met Iran's conditions, ships would use a designated central channel. Qatar, as mediator, has urged Iran to restore freedom of navigation through the strait under international law.
The only way to reach a durable settlement is through dialogue, and the Secretary General is very much appreciative of the mediation efforts by Qatar, by Egypt, by Pakistan, of course, and others who are doing their best to try to lead to a political solution, which frankly there's no getting around that to settle the situation.
In Nepal, rescued foreign tourists are now sheltered at a military training center turned into a temporary evacuation hub. One tourist recounts how she ran for her life with just seconds to react, climbing about 500 steps up a mountain to escape the raging massive wall of water.
Like water falling, it felt like a boulder falling down. Like when a boulder hits water, what happens? That's what it was, a big rock. When it hits water, what happens? It pumps a hole in. So we were thinking it's earthquake, right? But we still don't know, because I was also told that, this is more like a glacier burst. That's what I think the army folks told us. So we have to go with what they say, so I don't know.
Meanwhile, families of those still missing are gathering outside the military compound, waiting for updates on their loved ones as rescue teams continue the search. Nepal police put the death toll at 469, with more than 1,000 people still missing. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says the name Lake Ontario stays after U.S. President Donald Trump said he was renaming it to Lake America. Carney wrote on social media that the name Ontario comes from native tribes, which predates both Canada and the United States. Canadians back Carney's stance, with the Premier of Manitoba mocking Trump's suggestion.
He thought
He had a real hit, a real golden oldie with the Gulf of Mexico, and he's trying to bring back that. He's trying to play the hits for his base, but I think everybody here thinks it's a little sad and it's not his best work.
This comes after the latest trade talks between the two nations collapsed, resulting in threats of mutual sanctions. Filipinos will soon get the chance to see Alex Eala play live on home soil. Alex will return home for a special tennis event at the Philippine Arena in Bulacan this December 8th. The event, titled Alex Eala Live Game Set Celebrate, will feature her in a singles match against Indonesia's Janice Chen. The event will also feature youth tennis clinics, fan activities, and live entertainment. Ticket prices range from 600 to 25,000 pesos, with sales beginning on September 14. Gilas Pilipinas gets 3 key players back as it looks to turn its World Cup qualifying campaign around against Jordan. Zeus Valdez has the story.
The return comes at a crucial time for Gilas, which enters the 4th window looking to end a 4-game skid and keep its World Cup hopes alive. Thompson, Soto, and Perez take the places of RJ Barrientos, Mike Phillips, and naturalized player Justin Brownlee, Justin Baltazar, AJ Edu, Juan Gomez De Leaño, Chris Newsom, Kevin Kiambao, Dwight Ramos, Troy Rosario, Carl Tamayo, and Junmar Fajardo. Fajardo has said this could be his final game with the national team, will once again provide veteran leadership in the front court. But
Norway's King Harald remains in a very serious condition as he continues to receive treatment in hospital. Family members reportedly spent hours by the 89-year-old monarch's bedside while hundreds gathered outside the royal palace waiting for updates on his condition. The palace later said there was no change in his condition. Harald, Europe's oldest reigning monarch, has served as Norway's ceremonial head of state since 1991. Post Malone's highly anticipated Manila concert, originally set for September 29 at the Philippine Arena, has been postponed. Local organizers did not disclose the reason, but assured that ticket holders, they will receive full refunds through their original payment method. The show was part of his world tour, which includes stops across major Asian cities. Post Malone last performed in the Philippines in September of 2023. Another heartbreaking update for music fans as global girl group Cat's Eye pulls out of Olivia Rodrigo's Daisy Chain Fields Festival. The group says Megan suffered a sprained ankle during rehearsals, with doctors advising her to step back from performing ahead of their Wild World Tour. Megan shared that she was heartbroken to miss the festival, especially because of its all-female music lineup. Cat's Eye is currently performing as a 4-member group, with Sofia La Forteza and Mano Bannerman also on hiatus due to health reasons. And that's the Midday Report. I'm Mai Rodriguez. I'll see you again on Monday at 1 p.m. Stay informed and stay safe. Happy long weekend.